What's going on, everyone? It's me, Lone, and Fallout 76 Wastelanders is out in the public. A lot of people are getting into the game, so I'm really excited to be showing off my new build for 76 moving forward. I spent a lot of time planning this, but I think it's at the stage where I'm ready to show it off, and I'm not ready with it in-game yet. This is just my plan. I'll be using the Nukes and Dragons website to show off my build. That's linked in the description below, as is my build if you want to look at it in a bit more detail for longer than I am in this video. And really quickly as well, one, excuse the beard. I'm trying to grow one for quarantine because I can't be bothered shaving, for one, and two, it actually is filling in a bit, so it might become good. I don't know. And two, my arm is still in a sling. I'm taking it out for this video, but I'm going to chuck it back in. My injury is still there, and it's improved, but it's not quite there yet. So just giving you an update from my last video. Okay, so let me clarify a few things that's going to give some important context and background behind my build for 76. And I think this is going to be helpful for a lot of you newer players out there that are getting into 76, or maybe you haven't played in a while, or maybe you're just looking for advice on a build, because there is so much in this game, and even I'm discovering new stuff all the time. So don't be ashamed. Don't, worry about Googling stuff for knowledge. I do it all the time. Everyone does it. There's so much involved in this, but hopefully the information that I've picked up can help you. And if you have any tips or any advice on my build, let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking to optimize this. So the things that I want to address: one, I always recommend just going with a build that you're going to have fun with. In my opinion, there's no point going with a build that you're not having fun with in the game. No matter how maximized the DPS is, no matter how effective it is in certain areas, if you're just not having fun with it, what's the point? I built my entire character around the idea that I just wanted to have fun in the game. And the main things for me to have fun, one, is to be in power armor all the time. Love playing in power armor. I think it just feels awesome. And number two, given that I'm in power armor, I want to use a heavy gun all the time. To me, there is nothing more fun than just running around the wasteland in Appalachia with some power armor and a huge gun and just mowing down all the enemies. I have so much fun playing like that, and this is exactly why I've decided to create a heavy gunner power armor build. Alrighty, and the second point that I wanted to make is that sometimes in 76, your character build can be dependent on the legendary weapon you pick up in the game. Like, you can pick up any weapon and use it effectively. It's not going to be a big deal. But sometimes when you get that awesome weapon with a great legendary effect, you just want to entirely change your character to maximize that legendary effect as much as possible. It doesn't always happen like that, but for me, coincidentally, it has. I found a Gatling laser that has a vampiric effect, which means you get brief health regeneration with every hit that you make. And when it comes to a melee weapon, that's not that great because you're not hitting that much sometimes. But when it comes to a Gatling laser that makes so many hits every single second and you're getting constant health regeneration from that, I just found that so effective. I never have to use stim packs, and so I'm just not worried about getting downed or anything. I can solo the game quite easily with this gun. So I wanted to make sure that I maximized that heavy gun as much as possible. So that's why I've built my entire character around that one weapon. So when it comes to you, if you pick up an awesome legendary gun that, one, you think is going to be fun to use, and two, you think you can build a character around it, then do that, right? Like, I think it's sometimes a little bit hard to say you want to get this character and you just don't have the weapons that can support that. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. For me, I just thought, the thought process was way easier in this regard when I found the really good gun that I wanted to use. So let's get to my build. Okay, to show off my build, we're using the Nukes and Dragons website. That is linked in the description below, as is the link to this build here as well, so you can have a look at it in a bit more detail and at your own pace. This website is so useful for showing off Fallout 76 builds and just for planning things so you know exactly what you want to do when you get into the game. Highly recommend that you use it. Again, the link is in the description. And as you can see, heavy gunner power armor build, and we got all the specials here and all the perks that I want to go with. I will say as well, again, for you newer players out there, usually the specials that you pick are dependent on the perk cards that you want, rather than the other way around. So let's have a look here. My strength is at 15. The reason why my strength is at 15 is because that's where all the heavy gunner perks are. And I want to maximize the damage. I want to maximize all those heavy gunner perks. So I wanted to get that at 15. Coincidentally, it also helps with your carry weight as well when you have strength so high. And if you ever want to use a melee weapon for whatever reason, and I have all the perk cards to be able to do that, I can swap if I want. Let's say I run out of ammo, for argument's sake. I can quickly swap my perk cards, get a melee weapon that I have. I also have a vampiric weapon. It's not that good, but it still does the job. So that's why I also like going so high in strength, because you have those options. So let me show you the perk cards that I have here. we've got Heavy Gunner, Expert Heavy Gunner, and Master Heavy Gunner, and they're all maxed out to 3 stars. So essentially on their own, they each give you a plus 10% damage boost to all of your non-explosive heavy guns, which includes a Gatling laser. And then I've just maxed them out completely, so now they each give plus 20%. So now when you stack them, I have a plus 60% boost to the damage on my Gatling laser, and also every other non-explosive heavy gun that I use. That's a no-brainer, right? You want to get as much damage as possible, so when you're especially doing late game stuff, you're versing the Scorched Beast Queen, whatever it might be, that comes in handy, and you pretty much want to do that no matter what build you're going for. You want to increase the damage of the certain gun class that you want to use. So that's why that is there, but I think that's a no-brainer. Pack Rat. Junk is so important in this game, whether it's for crafting mods, repairing your weapons, repairing your armor, crafting stuff at your workshop. I think having Pack Rat to reduce the weight of all the junk items that you pick up by 75% is super useful. I think it's actually more important than Strong Back, which only increases your health, your carry weight, by a certain amount each rank. I think because you're going to be picking up junk more than anything else, this is super useful. So that's why I've gone with Pack Rat. And then Lock and Load. Heavy guns reload 30% faster. Usually heavy guns reload really slowly, and definitely that's the case with the Gatling laser. So having that slight faster reload with this perk card is super useful for me. So that's why I've gone with Lock and Load. And then there are some other perk cards that I don't necessarily have equipped at all times, but maybe I want to think about using at some stages. Like maybe I use a max Strong Back if I want to go out and just loot and I'm not in a high level area, and maybe I don't need some of these heavy gunner perks, for instance. So I will have a maximized Strong Back to go just in case, right? Bullet Shield. You gain damage resistance while firing a heavy gun. Maybe I want to use this if I'm fighting a really hard enemy, or if there's a bunch of enemies around me, I want that extra damage resistance. For me though, I don't think this is useful because I have a vampiric Gatling laser. So I'm constantly getting health back so fast, and I'll show off some footage as well on a character that's not even maximized yet, and you can see how fast you get back your health. So that's why I'm not going to use Bullet Shield. Traveling Pharmacy. This is useful. If you want to carry a bunch of stim packs, a bunch of Rataway, a bunch of chems, etc., having the weights of all those reduced by up to 90% is also super useful. It just depends what you want to go with. But again, for me, because I don't need that many stim packs anymore, because I have a vampiric effect, I don't need to use Traveling Pharmacy, I don't think anyways. And then Blocker. You take less damage from opponents. Sorry, you take 15% less damage from your opponent's melee attacks. Useful for like ghouls and areas where they come up and they just smack you with their hands or whatever it might be. Robots as well, for instance, they can do that. So this is kind of situational, I think. If you're versing a Scorched Beast that's flying around in the air, maybe not as much use. But if you're versing a bunch of ghouls or whatever it might be, enemies that get up close to you, Blocker could be useful. So these are the perks that I just keep in hand just in case, but these are the ones that I predominantly am going to go with. So, Perception. I don't think Perception is that useful when it comes to a heavy gunner power armor build. I found no perk cards that I thought would take advantage of the gun that I wanted to use and the playstyle that I wanted to go for. So the only thing that I have, because you can't have it less than one, is Green Thumb. So when I'm just harvesting flora, I have a huge garden in my camp. I get twice as much yield when I'm doing that, and that's used for me, to keep full rather when I'm hungry in the game. I just eat a bunch of veggies. It's the easiest way for me because I have so many crops, and when I get double the yield, it just makes it that much easier to do. So that's why Green Thumb is there. And this is the thing, right? Because my Perception is at 1, it does mean that I can't equip all pick lock perk cards at once. And that means that the harder pick locks in the game, I won't be able to open. But at the very least, if there's a pick lock with 1 that I want to open, then I can just equip this pick lock perk card, take out Green Thumb, and then I'll be able to open that door. But honestly, like, I don't see there being too much use to be able to equip all of the pick locks when you're going to get a bunch of loot when you're doing your dailies, when you're killing a bunch of high level enemies anyways. So the benefit of being able to open a toolbox that's a high level or a door that's a high level to get some of that loot, I think it's offset by some other things in the game. So that's why my Perception is only at 1. So Endurance, I mentioned that with Endurance, you get a boost to your health for every point of Endurance that you get. I think it's every point of endurance, it's 5 health. I could be wrong. But again, as I mentioned before, it's really determined on the perk guys that you want to get. I wanted to get Life Giver just to have that extra 45 health there. And I maxed it out completely. 1 star is only 15. So doing that takes up 4 points. And then this is the point in the build where I got a little bit torn, right? Because I didn't find any other perk cards that I thought were that useful, but I did want to increase my endurance by a little bit more to get me a touch more health, and also as well, a higher endurance means you get less AP drain when you sprint, and I sprint a lot in the game, so just to make it a bit more easier and a bit more fun to play, when I'm sprinting, I don't lose as much AP, which means I can sprint for a little bit longer. That's why I wanted endurance a bit higher. That's entirely, I guess, a lifestyle choice, if you will, just because I wanted to make the game a bit more fun for me and a little less tedious. So that's why I have endurance at 7. Which means I got to pick another perk card, and I just decided to go with Vaccinated, which reduces the chances of you catching a disease from creatures. It happens a lot. When you're getting smacked by creatures, you get diseases very, very easily, and I just want to be able to reduce that chance because I still don't have the plans for disease cures at all. I have antibiotics, which I know does help, but I'm just going to pick this. Like, I don't know what else to pick. There is Adamantium Skeleton as well, but because I'm in Power Armor, what is the point for me to have Adamantium Skeleton? I think this perk card is more useful to prevent limb damage when you don't have Power Armor. There is Homebody as well here. You get improved health and limb regen when you're in your camp or workshop, but that's obviously only useful when you're in your camp or workshop. That's one that you slot in and slot out as you need it. So Charisma is at 7 for the following reasons. Inspirational, getting 15% more XP when you're part of a team. So useful, right? Especially if you're trying to level up as fast as possible. You want to have Inspirational on. And when you join a server, just invite a bunch of people to your team, right? Get someone on your team so you can maximize this perk card, because gaining 15% more experience, it really does add up over time and you're gonna level faster. Another tip as well, before you start playing the game properly, sleep in your bed, get the well rested bonus, and that's an extra 5+% when you're gaining XP, which means with Inspirational and being a part of the team, or a team, you get plus 20% more XP when you're playing the game. So I'm leveling up faster than I would if I didn't do those two things. So that's a quick little tip there for you as well, for you new players that didn't happen to know that. Travel Agent. I know that you can swap in and swap out Travel Agent whenever you want to fast travel to pay 30% less caps. I just don't want to do that. I just want to have Travel Agent there at all times. I fast travel a lot, and it just makes it easier for me just to have it equipped at all times and not spend as many caps fast traveling. That's purely, an ease choice, I guess. A lifestyle choice. I'll keep using that phrase. Just makes the game a bit more fun for me. Tenderizer. This was a bit of a debated one online in terms of whether Tenderizer was actually useful, but I came to the conclusion that it is. So the effect is, make your target receive 7% more damage for 10 seconds after you attack. So essentially, as soon as you get a shot on someone, they receive 7% more damage for 10 seconds, which means you can kill them even faster. And when it comes to like a big enemy that it's going to take you way longer than 10 seconds to kill, maybe Tenderizer isn't the best. But when it comes to enemies that can realistically be killed within 10 seconds, Tenderizer is super, super useful. So I think anyways, and I've tested it a little bit, it works. I think Tenderizer is a good perk card, but again, it's debated. A couple of perk cards that I have under Charisma. Hard Bargain. Buying and selling prices at vendors are much better. You slot that in and out whenever you're selling stuff to get that daily cap of the 1400 caps at each vendor. Or of all the vendors rather, to get as much caps as possible. If you want to buy plans, if you want to buy mods, whatever it is, you need to be getting those 1400 caps every day that you play, and Hard Bargain makes that 10 times easier. So Hard Bargain, you have to slot in and out. Lone Wanderer. When you're playing on your own, you use Lone Wanderer, you get less damage taken to yourself and a faster AP regen, but I recommend Inspirational is better, because you get more experience and that means you level up faster. And then Happy Camper. Your hunger and thirst grow more slowly when you're in a camp or a team workshop. That's, goes without saying. You slot that in and out when you're in a camp or a workshop. So Intelligence is at 15. The reason why Intelligence is at 15 is because there's a couple of reasons. I'm using Power Armor with Gatling Laser. Power Armor relies on fusion cores to power it, And also the Gatling laser relies on fusion cores as ammo, which means I use a lot of fusion cores. I have over 160 fusion cores as part of my character right now in my inventory. So reducing the weight of all energy weapon ammo is super important for me. Otherwise my build would not be viable. So maxed out batteries included reduces my energy weapon ammo by 90%, or rather it weighs 90% less. So I can have realistically 166 fusion cores and it's not going to do anything to my character. So I love batteries included. It's essential to my build. That's why it's there. Gunsmith. It essentially means that your guns break slower for each rank. So from 1, you get 10% slower breakdown for your guns, 2 is 20%, etc. I've set it at 3 because I only have so many perk cards I can go around, and there's another perk in luck which helps me repair my gun as well, so it kind of offsets not having that at maxed. So Gunsmith is only at 3 for me, and that also allows me to go max with the next following perk cards. In Power Armor, your heavy armor gains excellent accuracy and ignores 45% of armor. Goes without saying, you get way better accuracy with a Gatling laser, which is what I use again. Gatling lasers are notoriously hard to aim with because they kind of go all over the place. But if you have stabilized, it helps a lot. If you have some mods installed that improves hipfire accuracy, which I do, that helps a lot as well. And of course, ignoring 45% of armor, it helps with super mutants, it helps with any enemy that has armor. So stabilize maxed out for me. Power Patcher. Your power armor breaks 60% more slowly and is cheaper to repair. Again, I use power armor, it's expensive to repair, and this just makes it way easier. I barely have to repair my power armor. It's absolutely awesome with this perk card. And Power User. Fusion core duration is now doubled. This applies not just for the power armor using the fusion cores, but also with my Gatling laser. I believe it means I go from 500 ammo to 1,000 ammo with each fusion core when I insert it into my Gatling laser. It's awesome, right? It literally doubles the capacity for my fusion cores to be able to supply my ammo and supply my power armor. It's great. Yes, I have 160, but because I'm using power armor and Gatling laser, I can't just use it willy-nilly. I know that I can go to a couple of those workshops and get more power armor cores if I want to, or fusion cores if I want to, but I don't always want to do that. I want to do that in a blue moon. So having power user means I can keep my fusion cores for way longer. And then going on, these are self-explanatory. Swap in, swap out perks. Hacker, Expert Hacker, and Master Hacker. It means whenever I come across a terminal, no matter what it is, I can hack it. Weapon Artisan. You can repair your weapon to more than its normal condition. That goes without saying. Whenever I repair my Gatling laser, I equip that, and it gets way more condition, which again means that it breaks down way slower. Science. Imaging craft energy mods. Fix it good, you can repair your power armor to 200% of normal maximum condition. Again, goes without saying, I use power armor. Science Expert, crafting energy guns now cost fewer materials. It's just one that I have if I ever want to craft an energy gun. Like for instance, if I want to keep crafting Gatling laser guns to scrap them and get mods for my Gatling laser, my legendary Gatling laser that is, then I want to equip this perk card to make that as less tedious as possible. Because I only have 2 mods to go, and I think if I keep scrapping them, eventually I'll get them, and Science Expert is going to help with that. So Chemist, you get double the quantity when you craft chems, goes without saying, you swap in and out. Powersmith, your crafted power armor now has improved durability. This only applies when you craft new power armor, but again, you swap in and out when you want to do that. For instance, I just created excavator armor to have more carry weight, and Powersmith was useful there. Science Master, your crafted energy guns have improved durability. Whenever you craft energy guns, you do that. And Scrapper, whenever you scrap weapons and armor, you equip Scrapper so you get more stuff, okay? Absolutely crucial. It helps you get more components to repair, to craft stuff. Just equip Scrapper anytime that you're scrapping weapons and armor. Alrighty, now Agility. The reason why Agility is at 5 for me is because I wanted to max out Adrenaline. When you have maxed out Adrenaline, you gain plus 10% damage for 30 seconds per kill, which means you're doing so much more damage for that 30 seconds anytime you get a kill. It's max 60%, mind you, but it just means when there's a lot of enemies, you're mowing them down, you're getting more and more damage. Super useful perk in my opinion. There's a couple of other perks here as well that I was thinking about using, like Action Boy, your action points regenerate faster. That I think is useful if you use VATS a lot, but I tend to just hip fire with my Gatling laser. This build is definitely not a VATS build. It is just a run and gun, you use that gun build in its regular sight, whether it's, aiming down or using it from the hip. I don't use VATS, so I don't think Action Boy is that useful. It does obviously regenerate AP when you're sprinting, but I think Adrenaline is better. And then you got Ammo Smith. You use this when you want to craft more ammunition. That is, I'll scroll up here so you can read it properly. You produced 80% more rounds when crafting ammunition. Goes without saying, you swap it in and out. So, luck. Luck is at 6. Now, there is some really useful perk cards in luck. Don't be sleeping on luck now. There's actually some great stuff here. I think Bloody Mess is the go-to for most people. You get 15% more damage with Bloody Mess and your enemies explode into a gory mess, which makes it, again, more fun, and also it's effective. You get 15% more damage, which is great. Luck of the Draw. Now, this is a bit of a controversial run because Luck of the Draw is not that useful when you have a melee weapon or like a one-shot weapon, because its effect is really dependent upon how many shots you're getting on an enemy. So let me explain. So the effect is as follows. There is a chance that your weapon will greatly repair itself when hitting an enemy, which means it's a relatively small chance every time you get a shot on an enemy, your gun or whatever weapon that you're using can suddenly greatly repair itself. When it's maxed out, if it's 1 star, you just slightly repair itself, right? A little bit. But when it's max, you get a great repair. But when you're just using a melee weapon, you're not getting hits that often, so the chance of you actually activating this effect is quite low for those kinds of weapons. With a Gatling laser, you're getting so many shots per second that eventually, in one firefight, you might have Luck of the Draw activate tons of times. It again is very effective with automatic weapons, with guns like the Gatling laser or the minigun, for instance, whatever it might be, the 50 cal machine gun. Not so much pistols, not so much some melee, like two-handed melee, for instance. Sometimes if it's like a one-handed or a really quick hit melee weapon, maybe, but more so when you have an automatic gun, Luck of the Draw is super useful. And that also means that I don't necessarily need Gunsmith at max, because even though my gun is breaking faster, it's repairing more because of Luck of the Draw, which is why I'm happy to have this at 3 stars. So then there's some other ones here as well. Woodchucker, you collect twice as much wood when harvesting. I don't need much wood anymore. If you're a lower level character, you may. So have a Woodchucker just in case whenever you're harvesting wood. One Gun Army. Your heavy guns gain a 12% stagger chance and a 12% chance to cripple a limb. This was one I was super torn on whether to include in my build. The option for me was increasing luck to 9 and decreasing endurance to 4, getting rid of vaccinated and putting One Gun Army in instead. I'm gonna think about that. I might do that, right? But I still wanted to have a bit more HP. I still wanted to have a bit less AP drain whenever I'm running, sorry. And also vaccinated does have a nice little benefit. I think I have so many damage increasing perk cards when it comes to my heavy gunner. One Gun Army might just be a bit too much overkill. It could be really useful against the Scorched Beast Queen, whatever it might be. And I might still get it and equip it. And maybe I'll change my build around, again, going Endurance 4 and Luck at 9. But for now, it's going to be a perk card that I just wait till I get it, and then maybe I'll equip it. And then Super Duper, the last ones, when you craft anything, there's a 30% chance you'll get double results. That's explanatory. And Good with Salt, food in your inventory will spoil 90% more slowly. I thought about this because I have a lot of veggies that I use as sustenance, but compared to all the other perk cards, I just decided against it and not to go with it. Alrighty, so that's the video done. That took me 35 minutes to record. Let's see how long the end result is. If you enjoyed this video, Wastelanders, let me know in the comments below. Do you have any improvements or suggestions, feedback for my build? It's not a perfect build, I know that. It's a build that I'm going to have fun with, I think, and a build that lets me use power armor and heavy guns, which again are my personal favorite. So let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what build you're going to be going with Wastelanders out in the public now. But with all that out of the way, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.